Meet me. Alright, welcome back, boys. And I'm going to do a video that I didn't really intend to do, but I keep getting messages about it. Dr. Squirrel, what are your squirrely thoughts on the new 3-star heroes? Well, I'll be completely honest. I don't know what any of these heroes do. I'm just going to tell you that they're all trash. So historically, I've said this about every single 3-star unit that has come out in the past, and people always flame me and they're like, "Well, actually, Dr. Squirrel, this hero is very good. You don't know anything." And you know what? I don't see any 3-star heroes in high-end RTA. Now, if you're not interested in high-end RTA and you just want to bring them to something, yeah, they'll probably work, but you can say that about any hero in the game. Like in Arena or Guild Wars, literally anything works. But I'm going to humor you guys and do this video anyway. Now, the main reason that I usually don't care about, and we're talking non-specialty change 3-star. Specialty change changes the game. So any 3-star that gets an SC, that's completely different. They could be endgame viable. The reason I just, without even looking at it, say these 3-stars are trash is typically all 3-stars have one huge flaw that's kind of insurmountable in high tier RTA, which is low base stats. As 3-star units, it just gets really hard to give them reasonable stats. I guess if you had the godliest of godly gear, you could get them somewhat close, but it would still be much worse than any 5-star or 4-star. So that's typically the reason why 3-stars are useless. And people have flamed me in the past for discounting 3-stars, and guess what? Whoever runs into a non-SC 3-star in Emperor Plus? Nobody. Back in the day, like Mursa, maybe every once in a while, but realistically, their stats are too low that their kits don't even matter, and their kits are usually some kind of weird, bad version of another existing hero. So let's look at this one. Yun Ryung. That R, man, that's a tricky R there. That's troll. Yun Young would be better. Battle Cry. Raises the morale of all allies, increasing speed and granting immunity for 2 turns. Like, okay, that's her S3. I mean, that's fine. I'm not... Is there another hero that can do that? Like, I guess this is the only hero that can give both these buffs on the opener, but if that's all he does, I mean, rather just have Mediator Caloric, right? What about this? After attacking 4 times, grants a barrier to all allies for 2 turns, increases combat readiness. I guess that's kind of cool, but that's a pretty strict condition. She's a knight, right? I guess the idea is, what, you put her on Elbrus and maybe she'll put up a barrier every once in a while? Yeah, I guess so. There's no, cooldown on it. What's with these French subtitles? I guess there's a cooldown. There's no cooldown on it, so if she Elbruses a lot, but I mean, realistically, it's still not going to happen. Elbrus is 20% at best. Lunging Slash. Okay, this is kind of cool. So if you put her on Elbrus, her S1 has a death break, so she can randomly just 75% defense break, randomly just defense break stuff. Although without effectiveness, you won't land on some things, but I guess DPSs and bruisers usually don't have effect resist, so you don't really need much effectiveness. And random defense breaks can be pretty killer. And I guess if it's her turn, she will do an extra attack. Let's just watch this. And inflict restrict. Probably does Garbo damage. And they're showing it against mobs again. Okay, so that one, 0 interest. Hasol. Oh, the artwork's kind of cool, I guess. What is this? A Dark Knight. Good movie. Wait, did I miss it? No, we're starting on the S2. After an enemy counterattacks, increased combat readiness, increases fixed damage of Swift Cut by 1,000. Fixed damage increase can stack up to 4 times. So up to 4,000 damage. I'm assuming the Swift Cut is the S1. Well, let's read this S3 next. Attacks all enemies with a secret skill before increasing defense of all allies for 3 turns. That's pretty cool. Speed of only the caster for 3 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to max health. I mean, 3-turn defense buff is actually pretty sick, but I mean, you could argue Alencia has an AoE defense buff and no one's using her either. Swift Cut. Attacks the enemy before recovering health of the caster when used on the caster's turn, and additionally inflicts 500 fixed damage regardless of whether the attack hits. Damage dealt. Okay, so this is like a budget Violet counter, right? So, every time Violet counters, you're going to get this fixed cut thing. Does it reset this? Or does it just stay forever? I'm assuming it just stays forever. So they don't want you to be able to one-shot the Violet, but after a while you're just going to be whacking people for 4,500. But it has to be on her turn, so you can't put her on Elbrus and expect her to whack people with that. If you could put her on Elbrus and it worked outside of her own turn, maybe this would be okay. But the thing is, she's probably going to be super squishy for a knight because of her base stats. I mean, I guess this one's okay. Like, if you're really struggling with Violet Guild Wars defenses, I guess you can bring this and slowly club him to death. In RTA, this thing is just going to get burned down, but this is better than the last one for sure. Mui. Why does this look familiar? It looks like another hero that exists, but I can't put my squirrel fingers on it. Ice Thief. Not very fast. Okay. Wind Cutter. Isn't that an artifact? Attacks all enemies with a... That's Wind Rider. With a sword with a 50% chance to decrease... 75% death break. Increase attack of the caster. So this is a garbage ran, right? It's a 3-star garbage ran that's slow as balls, okay? After the foremost allies attacks, counterattacks with Blade Flurry, and when all allies are... Okay, that condition's useless in RTA. Blade Flurry takes priority over a counterattack with a basic skill. Okay. In case you put it on counter, and can only be activated once every 2 turns. I mean, is this going to do a ton of damage or something? Okay, I mean, that was pretty lame. Leap Strike leaps to attack the enemy. Garbage, bleeding sucks. Okay, so it's a crappy ran, I guess, that doesn't strip. I mean, I don't know, maybe this thing does a ton of damage. I mean, I might be... It might be one of these, like, hunt heroes, too. Like, remember, guys, I don't do PvE, so all these units might be usable really good in, like, a hunt or, like, Katie's or something. I don't care about that stuff, so I don't think about it that much, but... I guess if you really want to just use him... I mean, he's a thief, though. That's what's weird. And he's probably going to be squishy if he does damage. If he was a little bit tanky, I was going to say, like, you could put something that you don't want them to attack in the front, and he's just sitting there counter-attacking. Except it can only activate once every 2 turns. So you can only do it once every 2... I mean, then it sucks. I'm just going to say he sucks. I don't expect to see him. Orte, okay. Oh god, this is one of the... Is this a guy or a girl? Shit. Boobs, girl, I think. Who knows? Can't tell. I think that's an underboob. Holy shit, she is fast. 125 on a 3-star. That's alright. Skill 2, when the caster is at max health at the start of the turn, grants perception. That's the Violet buff. So you don't need her at 100% crit, I guess, blah, blah, blah. After attacking, if the caster's perception and the enemy's not a boss, increases attack of the caster for 1 turn and activates the same skill as an extra attack. Well, that's kind of cool. Okay. So that's her passive. S3 attacks the enemy with a swift sword storm, penetrates target's defense by 30%. If you're faster, up to 70% def pen. Damage dealt increases proportional to speed. That's actually pretty interesting. I kind of want to see this one. So she S3 twice. Was that the S3 or the S1? I think she S3 He already has attack buff? Wait, it is the S3 because it granted her attack buff. Okay. Attacks the enemy. It's just a really basic S1, doesn't do anything. But I guess you could attack twice with it. What? Okay. Alright, this one... I mean, she's so fast. And that double attack thing... Like, my guess is this thing's gonna hit like a wet noodle. But if you're just speed contesting, that's okay, right? Because you're still gonna probably one-shot anything like a Ran or a Flan, or actually some Flans are tanky, but if you're using this as anti-cleave, you can probably blow stuff up, but you know, with these crappy 3-star stats, like if you're just gonna build her fast and assume that you're gonna blow up anything with mitigation, like zero shot. Because you know, even acids and acolis can barely manage that. So even though she hits twice, I'm assuming you know you're never going to want to bring this into a bruiser draft, and that's not a knock against her. Like no hero can really do that. You wouldn't bring an acid into a bruiser team either. So I think you know, for some reason you can't get acid, you know, acoli, one of these fast speed contesting DPSs. This is the best one I've seen out of the bunch, just because her base speed is really good. 125 is pretty solid. The highest in the game is what, 129? So yeah, that's pretty legit for a 3-star. I don't know how much damage it'll do though. If it doesn't do enough damage, it's Garbo, but I'm assuming she'll be able to one-shot a lot of stuff, especially squishies. Okay, Januta, a ruthless Suin with reckless ambition. Okay, Fire Warrior. Okay. Crappy 3-star stats. S3 shatters or attacks the enemy. I confused the two things. Decreasing speed for 2 turns before increasing attack of the caster for 2 turns. When the caster is enraged, I think that same buff as Clarissa, it ignores effect resist. It attacks one enemy, increases damage dealt. So what, does this just do like a crap ton of damage? I mean, this reminds me of, what's that Chaos Butcher whatever thing? Ruler of the Prairie, after an ally is attacked, the caster gains 10 fighting spirit per ally attacked, and has a chance to activate Hour of the Hunt. 5, 10, 35% chance. Increases speed of all allies for 2 turns, and you get Enrage, and I'm assuming Enrage is undispellable. Okay. I guess, I mean, increased speed is a very good buff. Ravage Strike, dash, destroy the enemy, blah, blah, blah. Nothing, it's just a regular attack. And I think that's it. So here are our new 3-stars, and, you know, you guys are going to troll me. Some of these guys might be really good in certain hunts or abyss floors or something, okay? You guys know my channel. You guys know I'm primarily reviewing heroes based on high-end PvP viability. As far as I can tell, they're all trash. Except this one, but if you already have like a good acid and acoli build, I feel like they just have conflicting roles unless for some reason this 3-star does a lot more damage than them, which I guess is possible. I mean, her base stats are low, but she has up to 70% def pen. That's a lot. So yeah, I mean, she's slightly slower than them, but this one might actually be decent. Like, I'm actually surprised at her kit. But again, it depends on her damage. If her damage is doo-doo, like I have no reason to build her because I already have acid and acoli plus 15, basically. But maybe. This one's a maybe. The rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, are dumpster trash. I forget which one had that attacks when the front is attacked. I think it's kind of cool, but I think he'll just die instantly with his stats. So overall, that's my thoughts. But, you know, if you're a newer player, remember, I'm only talking from the endgame perspective. If you're a newer player, some of them might be interesting to build, because that's the whole idea with 3-stars in this game, right? A lot of them are just meant to tide you over until you get, like, the 5-star equivalent that's better. And the biggest perk with 3-stars is you don't need Molas to skill up. Like, don't get me wrong, a plus 15 3-star in many ways might actually be better than a plus 0 5-star, even though their base stats are way, way lower. But for high-end PvP, the base stats is usually just a killer. I can't think of a single base 3-star unit without a specialty change that is used with any regularity in high-end RTA, and has nothing to do with the 3 stars being good or bad, just the fact that the game, they always make their base stats ultra low. So in general, when new 3 stars come out, I don't care that much, which is why I'm kind of surprised that this one I'm actually a little bit curious about. I might actually just build this thing up. I don't know if I even want to waste using dogs, or maybe I'll try her at level 50. But yeah, honestly, her kit seems kind of interesting as just a counter initiator. I think she's going to kind of fall flat after that, because it sounds like if she takes a single point of damage, she loses that double attack mechanic, and then she's just a garbage tier unit. But the double attack with the death pen on the opener and the high base speed, pretty nice. Very nice. Alright. So that's my thoughts on the 3 stars. I did it for you guys, and if I'm wrong about anything, again, like, I barely read these things. I'm just looking at them now. So feel free to, there's always one of you wizards coming out with some theory crafting, some crazy ideas. Go for it. I don't care. You can call me stupid, but history has shown that 3 stars don't show up in high-end RTA because of their base stats. So anyways, thanks for watching. Till next time, and peace out.